What's up, everybody? Give everybody just a minute here to hop on. Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday. Why? What's going on in London right now? What are they doing? Not happy Sunday. What happened, man? Angry emojis and everything. All right. So, of course, as you guys know, Spce made it to space. Yeah, so NVIDIA, are you on the final? Yeah, I'd be happy to go over NVIDIA. Alright, so we're going to go over the top news, guys. We're going to go over the major ETFs. Of course, some of the favorites. We'll go through a couple different UPS has been looking kind of interesting. Also, something to keep in mind before I start with anything, we're also going to go back and look historically at how the stock market behaves during earnings week for banks, because I think it's important to look back and see whether or not the market likes to move up or down, and of course the climate in which the banks are reporting has a lot to do with it. That's funny, Georgie. Hey, what's up? Chart CCIV. Yeah, if you want to hop on the YouTube, you can see the chart a little bit better. Because right now I have my phone plugged in, and it's hanging by a thread, as you can see. Yeah, if you guys want to hop on there. Okay. So, over the weekend and of course today, Spce has made its launch, making Richard Branson the first billionaire in space, but also breaking into the space industry as a viable and hopefully redoable practice that can perhaps generate revenue. And based on the ticket prices, there's a lot of different arguments on still whether or not it's going to be a viable business or just a recreational thing, that may fizzle out here in the future. Now, that being said, that's kind of predicting out a little bit far, but we are going to take a look at the chart. I expect now I don't know if anybody in our Discord swung those $80 calls. We also grabbed the $35 puts, and we did that back when it was at its low. Right when it was up at its second peak. And with that being said, I was able to take profit on a few of those. They weren't up a lot, but I did take profit on those, and I'm hoping that we'll get a reasonable gap up. Now, Spce historically on news. Now this is the news, right? This is what they do is actually been done. So that could be an actual viable reason why they end up trending to the upside. So I do expect a gap up, and based on where it gaps up, and I'm not really going to do too much technical analysis because there's really no point. I think it could gap up above the 60s. And if it ends up anywhere in the 70s, I think $85 to $80 is where it could end up fizzling out. There is option contracts, if you take a look at the flow, as far out as the $100 strike. Koala, the best koala in the world, Cliff. Yeah, we'll take a look at that. So we have Snow, Apple, Cliff, NVIDIA, CCIV, Oracle, Workhorse. The link is in my bio, but it's Simple Stacks Investing if you guys want to hop on the YouTube there, because you're going to be at like a 45-degree angle here for a minute. But anyway, so that's going to be top on. I'm really bringing that up because that's going to be top on the watch list going into. So I really don't even have to do anything here, but successful launch. Of course, we have those $80 call positions. Not sure if anybody has those, but we'll find out come Monday. So anyway, let's go back over here. Also, let me dig a little bit more in depth into the background of Spce as well before I move on. So right now, they have 600 firm reservations for space flights. And those come at $250,000 a pop. That means that they would be looking forward to collecting around $150 million over the next few years. So that is definitely, and I think that maybe tomorrow when Atlas is on, maybe we can dig a little bit more into what the costs are and whether or not this is really going to produce cash and it's worth investing in long term. As a pop play, like, of course it's great for scalping, it's great for momentum, but at the same time it's really important to make sure that we're investing in something that we that's viable. So anyway, real quick here, I will say this, and I actually thought about this weekend. And then this is not really necessarily news, and I think Georgie called this, but it does have a really interesting setup. And Black Widow's come out, Loki's come out. There's been a lot of people, as far as social media is concerned, a lot of people talking about that. But they picked up $215 million in the box office on Black Widow. And historically, we have seen reactions from Disney on successful debuts on their movies. And this is not also, I mean, I actually bought the movie, so hopefully that reflects in the share price. But anyway, this one is another one that I'm going to be having on watch. And of course, above 70.50, I'm hoping with momentum we can potentially see Disney move to the upside and hit around 180. So that's also on our watch list. I shouldn't even erase Amazon. All right. So to go over the earnings, some of the bigger earnings, but JP Morgan Chase Tuesday. Goldman Sachs is on Tuesday. We have Pepsi, which is obviously not really, I've never really played them before. Bank of America, Delta Airlines on Wednesday, Citigroup as well, BlackRock, PNC Financial Group. Thursday we have TSMC, Morgan Stanley, U.S. Bancorp, and AA actually, which has been running here as of recent. So it's probably, I actually really like, it's something that I might actually buy shares in pre-earnings and grab some cheap out of the money options to the downside, or vice versa. I may wait till after earnings and buy some cheap out of the money calls and see what happens there. So anyway, excuse me, Charles Schwab, State Street, all reporting on Friday. So earnings week for banks. Now let's go take a look at, well, let's look at Bank of America. Oops. So let's go to the weekly. I hate that it does that. It doesn't show you earnings. So last earnings there, falls on earnings there. Let's see, earnings. This is back February. Okay, so let's go and line up Spce. Let's see, Bank of America is on Tuesday. So I know this might not seem extremely relevant, but one of the reasons why I'm looking at this is during earnings, right? And those are usually in the same week. I'm looking to see if there's any movement, you know, and like I said, I've traded through quite a few earnings weeks and for banks, and I've seen a lot of choppy movement. So that's one of the things that I'm a little bit, I do have a screener that I look at, yes. But that is something that is concerning, because if earnings end up being negative for banks, that could reflect, of course, in the financial sector, but not only there, but within the market in general. So let's see here. Other than that, of course, we have earnings week, Spce, and all that other good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to look at Spce and all the other ETFs. Right now, Spce, as we saw last Friday, it hit my price target of 365, and really surpassed it. I think I said 436. Now, I'll be honest with you. Of course, the market doesn't look like, the reality of the market doesn't really match the movement within the market, right? Like the market has been bleeding up or melting up, as some people will say. And with that being said, with our earnings week next week, everything looks set to move up. We've had strong volumes on dips, strong volume on dips, and we've seen increasing volume as we've moved to the upside. So looking at Spce, of course, being at all-time highs, sitting at 435.50. Unless, now there's some things like the Delta variant that have played a part in certain markets' reactions, like the Japanese market. But other than that, if we see a successful earnings week, or rather a non-volatile earnings week from the banks, then I think that Spce is set to move forward. And in fact, let me go without even just talking about it. We'll go take a look at it. So flow, before I misquote myself either. Don't steal my dotted password. Okay, so let's go look at Spce. And as you can see on the dark pool, pretty green already. And I was just about to say 440 could be a potential target. So let's go see here. 1119, 435. Okay, so those are in the money. So a golden sweep for 455 calls, which is farther out than I would have expected. This is for 9/17/21, and there's $1.4 million. This was at 184 a contract, and they bought 7,561 contracts of those 455 calls. That being said, also looking at the dark pool, all green. I know some of you don't know what dark pool is. We'll definitely take a look at Cliff. I'm about to be done blabbering here in just a second. So let's see here. I know you guys want the charts. I think it's raining now. Okay, so I think those of you who have been on the live, you guys have talked about the channel that the Qs are kind of in. And so far, we are steadily on track. And this is the HMA right here. Let me see. Which one do I have that one as? That is, yeah. So I have the HMA right here. And that's where we tapped out on Friday. So I'm looking to climb above yesterday's high. So if we get a gap up on the Q, or Friday's high, if we get a gap up above Friday's high, of course the high, right, which was previously, that could have been Tuesday. Yeah, there you go. Macro news. Tuesday the 13th on 8:30, consumer price index and core CPA reports. Oh, I'm literally looking at that. Yeah, so, and then 7:15, industrial production, initial. I'm sorry, I missed that part of the news. Retail sales comes out on 7:16 at 8:30. Thank you for bringing that up. So yeah, those are both on, and then PPI and core PPI are reporting on 7:14. So wait, what is it? Yeah, so 7:14. That's, let's say. Anyway, so on the Qs, looking at 362.75. If we can clear there, my price target still remains at 370, where I believe it's a psychological number as well. Hopefully we'll break above that, but in the meantime, just going to be paying close attention to those levels above us right now. So Friday's high, and then of course going back to July 7th high is going to be two of our main targets here. And you go down to the hourly just to make it a little bit easier for yourself. And of course, we need to do this if you're playing any tech stocks. You need to be paying close attention. Now, something else to keep in mind as well is that we gap down, right? From this was our previous day, the previous gap down point. We broke downtrend, and as you can see, pulling off of this high, broke downtrend, big bounce here, and then filling the gap to a T, and then just barely holding it. So in order, of course, to see continuation, we're going to need to see that 362.85 level on the Qs, and the hourlies look like it can do it, but it may even have a chance if it does pull back tomorrow. Sorry guys, I'm expecting probably back down in the 559 range, and support is hanging around 357. So if any of those reports that he was just talking about have any effect on the market macro wise, then we would probably see a return back to support there. So anyway, let's go. So we have SPY, Qs. Look at IWM really quick. Okay, so this one, interestingly enough, and let me go make sure that's correct. Let's go to the 4 hour. Okay. So, 1, 2, 3, broke support, bounced off of this, and in fact, I hadn't moved that line, that 219.50. Strong bounce. Not usually you would see a retest here, which you did. You broke support, saw a retest on an hourly candle, and then, a 4 hour candle, and then continued to the downside. Now, strong retest, but as you can see, we're literally right up against that previous support turn resistance. So in order to see continuation, we're going to need to break above 227 and just call it 227.15. If we can break above 227.15, we should see continuation on IWM, which would mean, of course, movement within the penny stock sector and some of those smaller cap AMC and stuff like that. So let's see here. The Dow. So this one pretty much finishing the day right up against where I would have had that level set anyway, or actually slightly above it. So as you can see, we had a previous high here right at 348.50. And then, of course, our next target is going to be around 3,500. So if we see continuation, and we were in this little channel here, broke out of it, made a little crazy looking flag, broke up, and now we finished slightly above that previous high. So the next target is this previous high right here at 3,500, or rather, 3,500, excuse me, 35K. Would likely be where I would like to see the Dow. Now, of course, that includes some of those stocks like Boeing and CAT, and of course, those are ones that I'm looking for a potential leg up to the upside. Right now, I think that we might be able to play CAT into the 220 or 222 range, and I'm actually going to go throw that on my watch list as well. Because the Dow does look ready to move to the upside. So honestly, Boeing was not a successful trade on Friday. I was a little bit bummed about that trade, but if you guys look at the price action, or rather you can just go to the 5 here, just nothing. You built a little setup here and the volume just died off completely, which shows me that more than likely Boeing will probably gap up. And I know a lot of those people in the chat went long on that. So, okay, let's see here. Dow, SPY. All right, so Microsoft, that's one of the plays that I took for a swing trade. Now, we just went over the Qs. But one of the main points or main things that I want to show you guys, let me fix that really quick. There it is. Okay, so what we have here, let me erase all this. Can you guys hear the rain by chance? Is this ASMR? All right. So looking at Microsoft and then looking at the Qs, same thing, right? So this main little channel here that we have is where Microsoft ended up rejecting. And so going into this next week, our target is 280. 280 is our previous high. 280 is our resistance that we have to fight against, where we've rejected 2 times previously. So we are going to need to see a break to the upside, and I think it's pivotal that happens Monday or Tuesday, or at least this week sometime, that we climb above 280 into that 280. So we can go take a look here as well, just looking for extra levels of confirmation. Microsoft 300, 295, and 290. So if you guys go back and you watch any of my videos that I've made on Microsoft, my target is literally, and I should just have it marked out, but I'll just eyeball it, right? So take a look at where, you know what, let's not do that. So let's do, so say we can climb above that range. What we need to see or what we would see, rather, is a push up to that $300 mark right there. So that would be the top of this channel going back all the way to February 2020. So that would be my target, and I actually think that those are really good calls. They came in on Friday, so this is what I would suspect, and looking at the bounce off of this 9-day moving average, I like the way Microsoft looks. If you're long on Microsoft, what you can do is if we end up breaking above 285, right? So 280 is this previous high right here, 280.50. If we end up breaking back up, I would even say 283. If we get to 283, take profit and roll them into something longer expiration or with a longer expiration, and then if you have to, use weekly expiration put option contracts to hedge any downside. But just make sure you're long. When I mean long, don't go long 2 weeks. That's not long. That's mid. Go a month out, where you're going to pay a little bit more money, but you're paying money for like insurance, if you think of it that way. Take a look at Xskulls. If you guys want me to take a look at anything, you guys can hop on the YouTube. It's going to be a little bit easier for you to see. Yo, I went to the beach today with my kids. I am toasted. My back is like crispy. Ouch. That's what happens when you stay in the Northwest for as long as I did. Okay, so we've got Microsoft. Now with Microsoft, of course, I like to take a look at Apple. Now, interesting setup here on Apple. Same thing with Microsoft, and if you notice, this HMA, and we'll go back to Microsoft really quick. Look at the HMA. The plight of both of these tickers. Plight of most stocks. But as you can see, that's what's holding us up. We need to get above our previous high at 145.69. As you can see, though, we have had nice movement to the upside and holding. This was a previous channel Apple was in. Holding that channel, so we actually bounced off of that. Let me correct it a little bit. Here we go. So using that channel as a support, bouncing back up, holding that new high. Not necessarily new, but we did break an all-time high for Apple and then fall back to that previous high of 145. I think we actually finished at 145.15. But regardless, we're going to need to see a climb above yesterday's high. I think Apple buyers are excited. I also see decent volume accumulating here as well. And one thing that I'll say a little bit off topic is, people from like Kevin Leary, and of course, Kathy Woods, are still very bullish, and think that the market, it doesn't matter what the world says. Earnings are what matter. And so as long as these companies continue to pump out like they do, the stock market's going to continue to go up until something damning happens. And nobody can chart damnation. Like you could have, I don't know. I don't think I've charted the hourly right before the dump on, or if I even remember doing so. But like, I think it was just like, oh my God, grab puts. But with something like that, you have to pay attention to what's being sold. You have to do a lot of digging in order to see, dark pool orders and stuff like that. That's where I would pay more attention to rather than looking at the chart. So in the meantime, Apple looks to break all-time highs, and maybe even while we're at it, we can go look at Apple's flow as well. So that way we can see and have an extra level of confirmation. And like I said, 155, 730. That's actually not far away at all. Somebody is really, really banking on Apple. So, Apple could be a great play. Those of you who have smaller accounts, don't be scared to play Apple. And one of the things about Apple is, of course, it follows SPY. So it can be a little bit shaky, but go long. In 2-3 weeks, or 2-3 weeks, but like 2-week contracts, usually are really, really nice, and you can grab. It depends on your account size, but for me, say I'm going to play with 10K, right? So, or I have 10K to play with. I may buy 5 contracts going out, like the 730s, and then I may buy something shorter expiration, 716, if I see those break up high and if I see the volume that I like. To normally see, and as well as paying close attention to my hourly chart, right? So if you're focused on one stock, which is important to do, and if you don't have a lot of screens or you don't have a lot of like things to look at, you need to be looking at focused on multiple different time frames whenever you're playing a stock like that, and especially if you have longer expiration contracts and you're trying to take advantage of the upside. So a lot of people will cut longer contracts with longer expirations because they're watching the shorter time frames, and you need to remember that there's actually more opportunities in averaging down in a bullish run than there is cutting for a loss. So it's important to pay attention, because you can easily find a place to average down by paying attention. For me, what I like to do is find the time frame that my bullish moving averages are respecting. And a lot of times I'll go and I'll move my moving, I'm fluid with my moving averages in a way where I'm able to say, okay, it may not be the 9-day moving average that this is riding right now on a bullish uptrend. It may be the 6-day moving average, which is a heavily bullish moving average that is used by scalpers quite often. And if I see that type of movement, especially on the hourly time frame, then I'm going to be moving that around in order to find where that trend is at. And that takes sitting there, and as your contract is you're playing the chart. And too many people play their contracts where they're staring at their money and they're not staring at their charts, or not necessarily staring, but they're not looking at the tape. They're not looking at the charts. And so with that, those are really, really important things to pay attention to. So, but anyway, Apple looks good. We do see 12, 17, 21 puts, 2,000 here, 1.7 million. This is towards the end of the year. And this could be, if they're heavy in equity, right? I can't tell you who this is or what they're doing, but that could be a very serious hedge, because as you can see, we're not too far away. I don't think they're taking that as a swing trade. That's more than likely if Apple ends up, if Apple did end up rejecting this level and just dumping from here, then if anything, they would be able to sell that hedge, or utilize those put option contracts. So anyway, or regardless, they at least have a hedge, that's farther expiration, so that they are making money on the upside. I'm confused on Tesla's formation. All right, well, I'm about done blabbering here. We already got over Spce, Disney, Cat, and Apple. All four of those present reasonably decent setups as well. Of course, guys, I always make sure that I'm paying attention to news. Banks have the first bank earnings are, who was it? Who did I say was on Monday? JP Morgan Chase, so JPM, and Goldman Sachs. So those are two stocks that you could pay attention to as well. And one thing that I also like to do as well, and I'll go ahead and do this with you guys, as I'm looking for stocks to potentially swing trade 1 or 2 days. That's it. Not looking to go long on, not looking to take crazy positions, but I'm looking to play momentum, ride the wave going up into earnings. So a lot of times, obviously, we have earnings this week. I like to go maybe and look at next week. Tuesday, Netflix. Boom. Let's go look at Netflix. How's Netflix look? It's just this easy. So I go look at Netflix, holding, and actually I need to change this right now. Oh no, it's the right one. Okay, so looks like Netflix it did actually gap down, and I know that, yep. So it gapped down, held its gap as well. It's gonna need to break over 538.25. If it can break over these levels, and you can see there's big pops in volume here towards the end of the day, and one of the things to remember is that dumb money opens the market and smart money closes it. So anytime I see high volume pops towards the end of the day, it always presents interesting setup there. On the daily, we have not yet finished filling our gap. That was one of the things I was about to say here. The gap gets filled at 550. So let's go take a look at Netflix flow. So I got my chart, right? Nobody cares about Netflix. Okay. Well, let me go and look at Netflix flow on this back one. Hold on 1 second. July 23rd, $500 puts. I bet those were already taking profit on. Okay, so regardless, what I'll do, sorry, I had somebody message me. So what I'll do is I'll go to the hourly here. I know where my levels are at, right? So I'm going to set my level there. Okay, so if Netflix breaks this level here, my first initial target is going to be 541.70 or 541.75. Decent volume here. RSI looks pretty decent. Daily RSI is a little bit overbought. So I'm curious if earnings are already priced in. If earnings are already priced in, the reason why people may be taking those short positions is we do have a gap all the way to 520 below us. So I can see the rationality for some puts on them. So I'll take a look at them. It could present interesting scalps to the upside, at least potentially retesting 545 before earnings, and then if anything you get a double top there. So but that's something that I like to take a look at. We got Coke, Verizon, Johnson & Johnson reporting in 2 weeks. Snapchat, another good one to watch as well. So Snapchat had a ginormous dump, but they recovered decently. Let's go take a look at the daily. So look at that. That's definitely super duper bullish. I actually already have a target marked here, and that's the 9-day moving average on the daily. That's 66.75. Why do I have a Harry Potter ad on my email right now? Nope. Okay. Anyway, Snapchat looks pretty good as far as the bounce is concerned. That's showing significant strength, bouncing off of this level as well. Let's see. It looks like it was not quite the $60 level, but the $61.50 level. So my target for Snap, if I was playing this one to the upside, would be anywhere above 66.80. And you could start to see a little bit of recovery back up into that $70 level where it got shorted like crazy. So, alrighty. So let's go ahead and get to your guys' request. Alright, so NVIDIA is the first one that came in here. Now, NVIDIA, and I talked about my speculation on this setup here, that we had a rising wedge. That gap down played out before really. It actually did pull back significantly, but nobody was really able to catch unless you swung puts to the downside. But in the meantime, hovering around the $800 level, HMA looking to cross over that 9. You are, of course, very overbought, and we are approaching the split here on. So we have 9 days. If I'm not mistaken, 9 days until the split happens. So, of course, we can look at historically how stocks move, and like maybe we can go look at Apple before it's split. So, a couple days before it split, see it trades flat, and the day of the split, it rips. Day after the split, runs up, and then just free falls. And I'll be there waiting on NVIDIA to catch that. But anyway, so historically speaking, there is a potential that NVIDIA could climb, and we have seen price targets in the 850s and the 900s. So I actually expect If we continue to consolidate here, and we'll go down to the hourly here and chart this so that way we have an idea of what it looks like there. So we could say that anywhere above 806.55, and we have a gap to fill all the way to 815. So scalpers, that could present an opportunity for you. Anywhere above there, above this little let's see, what was that, 815 to 825 zone, that could, with volume, of course. So you see there's a low volume here on this consolidation, but with volume like this, we could see a potential rise and push past 837. And this one, you're going to have to be on your toes. There's going to be volatility, and I can't tell you when that's going to pick up. A lot of times, once buyers, seems like a chain reaction, pretty much. So I'll be paying close attention to this one as well. It's definitely worth watching, at least for a gap fill. So for a scalp, right? So NVIDIA, and what did I say? Let's see, 806. 806, yeah, so 806.25 through 815 for a scalp. And this one, of course, we want to see momentum. Most gaps do get filled. So I would be watching the video for a scalp first, and then we'll be watching the volume there as well for continuation. So, all right, NVIDIA. Now we have Snow and Apple. I think I already went over Apple, so we're good on that one. I think. Let me know. Snow looks crazy good. As you can see here, finally popping out of this consolidation here. Really, really great volume. Pushing up and closing, and you can see this little zone over here. And I'll highlight that for you. So this little zone here, where we broke out of and where we finished. So same thing, 280. And I think that I did see some pretty, maybe not aggressive flow. No, that's pretty damn aggressive. So pretty big flow coming in for the 300, 295, 290. So that's going to have to end up on the watch list as well. Now, as far as probability, right? Let's look at this, right? So how do we figure out which one of these is the best? That's great, right? I have a watch list. Whoop-de-doo. Now, Disney, I'd give that, I hate to do this, I'd give that like a 5 out of 10, right? In a score sense, because it doesn't really have a true catalyst, right? It's just going to run on SPY. Microsoft, Apple run, then more than likely we'll see Disney run as well. Snow, though, right? Finally, just on pure technicals, and looking at the amount of money going into short expiration contracts, 723, 716. We even saw people scalping that day. All for the 290 strike, which lines up with our technical analysis. $300 strike, 285, all well above where we're looking to go. And with shorter expiration, that leads me to believe that people are expecting and there's 100% bullish flow here, that people are expecting Snow to move to the upside. So I would say that Snow, probability-wise, out of all of these, Spce, there's too much speculation, and more than likely it's going to gap up out of control. Snap, Snow may likely do the exact same thing, but we need to look at what are the catalysts, right? The Dow, right? Cat. Nah, it's held down with a lot of the other Chinese stocks, and the one thing to remember is whether or not they have ties. That I think that's the reason why we're having issues with Chinese stocks is anything with military ties. And maybe I'm being stupid right now. I've had so many people tell me that cat was a Chinese company. I hope I'm not being stupid. Yes, okay. I think so. Interesting. Okay. So just wanted to make sure I wasn't. For some reason, I had a brain fart and completely forgot where cat was from. But I believe that that's one of the things that has caused cat to fall from the levels that it has. And we could even take a look at cat flow and see if there's anything worth looking at. Nothing at all. And we've seen the same movement from cat. It's on my watch list. Oh, what the hell is that? Hold on. Is this even on our... I don't think that's on our... No, that's in Sweden. Somebody call... Anybody in Sweden? Tell them I gotta play for them. Just kidding. So, if you look at cat, super oversold down here, bouncing back up, just barely holding these levels. Tons of volume up here. Dividends and earnings are approaching. Earnings is on July 30th. I'm hoping that earnings may be a reason why cat moves to the upside. A lot of the time, stocks that have been oversold a lot. Excuse me. The beach wore me out. But if they've seen a lot of selling and they're at lows, then more than likely earnings can be what causes an uptick. Now, on a technical basis, cat has what looks to be a potential double bottom here. So anywhere above 222, which is where I'm looking to play it to, then there's the potential that we may see cat recover and start running back up into the 230s, which I'd love to see. It does have okay volume here finishing on Friday, but as far as probability, I would say that's on the back burner, and I would more than likely look to take that long, as I'm not going to be managing that position like I would a scalp or a day trade. I'd more than likely be managing this just like I would a swing trade, where I'm setting alerts, trailing stop loss if I have to, or anything like that. So, but that's just kind of how I go about looking at my list. And I know a lot of people get confused on whether or not, they're like, I have a watch list, or this guy has a watch list, but which one should I take? And if you're even looking at it from like an account perspective, right? Snow's going to be too expensive for you, period. It's just, they're way too expensive until Thursday and Friday. Apple, relatively decently priced, right? So as long as you see a break in highs, or you see good volume, you got to pull the trigger. And if it gaps up, then you're going to want to wait for a few minutes, see if it fills that gap to the downside, and then look for that bounce play. If you can take the bounce, take the bounce. If you get a bullish hourly candle that takes to the upside, maybe go out a week. And then if you see a break in highs, maybe add weeklies on top of that. Those are better for smaller accounts. So if you're looking, and I know that's restrictive for a lot of people, so I'm not sure which one to play, because I have this account, and the guy that I'm following or the guy that I'm listening to is playing something that's way too expensive. So that's something important to remember as well. So anyway, all right, I'm done rambling. Snow and Apple. I just let it go on you guys. Snow. All right, Cliff. So I do believe, if you guys want to hop on my YouTube, I'm streaming right now, Simple Stacks Investments, and I'll take a look at that chart. Just if you guys have any requests and you came from TikTok, you need to drop your request here in the channel, if you don't mind. All right, so Cliff has been a top one, and we're going to go ahead and clean this up. Cliff is exciting, and I think you guys that are in Cliff should be excited. Just on a technical basis, big strong bounce here, nice volume here. RSI, plenty of room. MACD showing weakness to the downside. You have earnings coming up on July 21st. I think that Cliff runs to 2350. Not a huge move for that. But got you for sure. I got you. We'll look at X 2365, and that's based on a previous resistance going back here, which actually broke, pulled back, held this support, and then finally after breaking it, we bounced, or not breaking it, but hitting support, we bounced. Excuse me, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. Yeah, I'm moving through. I'll get X and go to. I got the hiccups out of nowhere. So you guys are about to. Oh gosh, I feel so vulnerable. You gotta see me. I hate hiccups, dude. They just make me angry. Okay. So anyway, Cliff. Here we go. 2265. Oh god. This feels like comedy now. Is where I would likely take Cleveland Cliffs as a starter position, and looking to add to that above 277 with the target of 23, of course, knowing that our target is around 2365, 24 levels. So sorry guys, this is ridiculous. All right. How do news reporters do it when they get hiccups? I think Cliff looks good. Strong bounce off support, so I think at a minimum, $23.65, $24. I may actually write that down. Oh, stop it. Okay. Tsla is the next one I'm doing. Daniel, are you provoking me to drown myself on camera? That's sadistic, man. I'm just kidding. Does it? Okay. I'll try it in just a second. You know, Tsla surprisingly looks good. Oh, God. I saw a special on someone who had hiccups for like 15 years. I was like, man, they must have had some sick abs. This is a workout. Okay, so the way that I see it right now, excuse me. So it looks to me that on the weekly, you did go and retest support, and this week ended with buyers really stepping up and pulling it back up to support. It is a little bit confusing, but if you look at the narrow gap that Tsla had here, really it's going to take a break above 266, 268.50. Excuse me. I'm really sorry, guys. I'll go get some water in just a second. Excuse me. So anywhere above the 9-day moving average, in my opinion, I know that sounds really, really basic, but if we can get volume and a break above that 9, but honestly, I think that we're a little bit close to earnings. They always tend to pull something out of their hat around then, but in my opinion, we could end up trading within the 700, they can be very small gulps. You know what it is I tried a beer, like a half a cup of a beer, and like literally I took a sip, and as soon as I swallowed it, it was like I had immediate hiccups, and they've just been haunting me. I'm haunted. Anyway, so right now the volume's abysmal on Tesla. I'd like to say I'm bullish on it. Right now, the biggest level you have is that $700 level. So I would suspect that there's another retest coming above that 9-day moving average. So above 670 would likely be my guess. All right, I'm going to explode, combust if I don't get water. Please excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh God. My guy's a genius. Yeah, that worked. Thank you. Anyway, on Tesla, the only thing that I would say is there was a low volume bounce off support. And you haven't quite regained everything you have lost. So I would say anywhere above 670 with some volume. We'll watch that one. I'm going to set an alert there. Okay, so let's go over. I hope that helps. So let's go over Oracle. So Oracle is a favorite of Heck. And real quick, I actually need to. Heck just sent me a message. Oh, yeah, if you guys just want to do a call, I'll fix that in a minute. So let's look at Oracle. All right, so huge movement as of recently on Oracle, retesting the 85 level, bouncing up, making a strong move, tapping. It looks like it tapped 88.50. And as far as I know, this is all-time high. So if you take a look at here on Oracle, big strong move after a big pullback. Nice volume here. Still has just a little bit more room to run. It might hit that $90 level based on the volume and everything that it has had so far. I would say that if it gets below 86, 85, you might see the shorts get a hold of it. Let's go take a peek at where our trend line, if we have one. You know what? Let me do this. So I think just a little bit lower. So 82, 85, 82 on a pullback. And of course the previous high of 88, 45 or 45, 50, or 88.50 would likely be where we would like to see Oracle move to the upside. So first retest is at 87. Anywhere below that, we're likely going to see 85, 85. So, yeah, I do that. You know, and here's the thing: anybody who's putting out value wants to teach people how to do this themselves. That's the whole point of this, is so that people can go and do this. And every single person has their own, like, if you dig into this, and here's the thing, you're not trying to blueprint yourself after somebody else. You're trying to develop your own style that works with your personality and your availability and basically like your skill set, right? So as you learn a little bit more, you increase the things that you do, and you let those trades come to you when you see them, and you don't chase. And as you grow your knowledge, you can continue to play newer setups or different fundamentals and dig into other things. So following somebody blindly does not pay off at the end of everything. It's just really important to try and develop your own style. To some extent, some people when we take scalps, they go a week out rather than take the scalp because they'd rather stay a little bit safer and not have that premium get burnt. So, okay. So Oracle anyway, honestly at highs, anytime you're dealing with highs like this, you're always going to see, or you're really it's price exploration. So like I said, in the mid time, you have a little flag here. There's a potential that you could flag down to hit 87.27, a gap up anywhere above 88.50, and more than likely we could see a little short retest of that gap, and then continuation to the upside. So, CCI workhorse. All right, I'll take a look at those. By the way, Daniel, thank you, Hiccup Cure Man, Medicine Man. That literally worked perfect. My hiccups are gone. Okay, so we've got Oracle. Let's take a look at X. X finally looking like it may break out of this this little bottom consolidation we have here. Here we go. So looking like we are, and of course the infrastructure plan from Biden is fuel for the fire. That's a little bit wonky. Yeah, it's dope, dude. Thank you. Anyway, steel. So I expect a little bit of resistance here at 24.75, but we have broken this shorter time frame downtrend. We're above that 4-hour, 200-day EMA. So more than likely, we're going to see a little bit of consolidation. I would recommend setting alert at 24.75 and setting alert at 24.25. Both of those are going to be important levels because you're going to need to hold 24 and 24.25 in order to just kind of stay consolidated and letting these moving averages kind of catch up. So wait for momentum to pop, and potentially wait for a little bit of consolidation here. You do see you get a big 3 candles here, ending with kind of a little bit of resistance at this previous level. So if you do get a pullback, 24.25 would be where I'd be watching for that pullback. So okay, so let's look at go-to. Oof, what happened to go-to? Reverse Goku. That turned into a freaking... It's dead. It's dead. What is this? What happened here? What did they do? I don't even know if I can chart it like this. I don't think I can. Okay, so to be honest with you, I'm looking at this right now. I have no idea. When stocks get to these type of levels, I need to start looking at the papers. I need to start looking at why they're in debt or why they're this low. Why did they split? I don't see a split on the chart. They've fallen from $149 all the way down to $11. So if I don't know of a split or anything like that, this is a stock that unfortunately doesn't look great. I'll say a shorter time frame reversal pattern happened here. So if you zoom in here, you have a little reversal pattern here, and it's sitting flat. So I mean, I honestly can't say anything other than above 2135 with a catalyst, and it needs a catalyst. So but anyway, this thing looks dead to me. So a lot of times that's the best time to buy. So as long as you have a good reason to buy it. What are my thoughts on penny stocks? I think penny stocks are great. I think penny stocks with proper execution can be amazing. I think we have an incredible analyst in our Discord who do a great job on a daily basis finding these stocks, and I find a few here and there, but a lot of people in our chat, mind you, actually are really good at finding these penny stocks. So I think that as long as you have a good plan of action, or if you say like, okay, I'm looking for momentum today in penny sector, or whatever you want to call it, I know that I have 10K, and I'm gonna start playing with 500. Because it's a penny stock, and you need to still practice some sort of risk management. So in my opinion, I think that anything, a pump and dump stocks are stupid. You don't want to catch those. You want to find real news, real catalysts to propel you in the right direction. So anyway, okay. I think we got go to. I did not go over Amazon. So this one, I'm not mad that, especially with the day that we saw from Spce, that Amazon held this level like it did. As you can see, and this is important to look at. Let's look at the weekly. So from back in, and we'll go ahead and cut it some slack and say August 31st of 2020, all the way until June 28th of 2021, Amazon traded in the same level between basically 3K and 3,500. And for the first week, we've seen a big break out, which is probably the first step into the 4,000 level. Now, it's been said multiple times that there's no plans for any type of stock split, but somebody knows something. And one of the things that I see, and this is crazy to me. Let me go look at. Yeah, so this is $100 move. Now this guy right here is a little bit more modest, but he's paying a little bit more capital here. But everything is all bullish. Everything for 716. And that was something that I saw, and I don't know, I told you guys, I don't know why I raced Amazon, because there's no reason to. Let me see here. Alright, so Cliff. Alright, Amazon over here. So, Amazon, 3750, 380.90, 3900, 3800, and all together, all for this upcoming week. For this upcoming week. So that being said, and taking a look at the chart, and we'll go back down here to the hourly. The hourly is where it speaks the most volumes, in my opinion. And this is where I would likely look to take a position. Now, I like to enter certain plays a little bit earlier, especially if I see a break-in downtrend. But to me, right, and you could pull this off of anywhere, but to me, you either have this support here, which would allow Amazon to pull back, which might allow this moving average here to catch up. But you may have a retest here of what looks to be about 3,700 or 3685, I think. I'm trying to line it up. 3690 looks like a safe level there. So 3690, and then hopefully from there we'll see it bounce out. So what I like to do is set an alert on the trend line, right? So when it touches the trend line, I get an alert there, and that would confirm to me that it's trying to break downtrend, or this shorter time frame downtrend. And at the same time, I can set an alert at this bottom support and at this 50-day EMA, which would let me know that more than likely Amazon will not see continuation to the downside, and will more than likely see a pullback at these levels. Now, it's taken a lot of effort, and even with the gap down, that everything else had, Amazon showed an incredible amount of strength. So, in my opinion, finishing well above, making a new high, and holding a flag, I think it's just waiting for the market to catch up. So breaking downtrend around 37.35, and then maybe even above 37.50. Once you get above that 37.50 level, of course, you have that one wick at 37.60. But other than that, with volume, I think that Amazon sees solid continuation to the upside. So, of course, Derek, if you're catching this, I hope the kiddos went to sleep. Okay. Not sure whether to do stocks, options, or penny stocks. It's always best to practice certain plays with stocks. Now, if you have paper trading account, it's really useful to utilize that. So if you're able to utilize, sorry, I just had a brain fart. If you're able to utilize paper trading account, then you can practice using options rather than risking your own capital, and then start to I will in just a second. I'll get to tell in just a minute. I still have a couple of other charts. Yeah, I'm going to get to Zillow and Plum B first. So anyway, the stocks are a little less volatile, and so I wouldn't go all in. When you have a smaller account, sometimes it does take a little bit more aggressive playing, but just as aggressive risk management. But other than that, I would say that as you're new, to start with stocks, put very little, or don't put a ton of risk into penny stocks, and make sure that if you do, that you're, because it's important to explore all of them, and see which one that you get a hang of, you know. So all right, so let's see here. Zillow Z, that's right. Okay. Nickelodeon. Okay, so it looks to me that, yeah, so we had this channel going all the way back from March. Three tests of that resistance, three tests of that support, trading flat kind of indecisively here, and then you get a breakout. Now the one thing about this is it looked like it made a lower time frame, what could have been a head and shoulders here, and broke the 200-day moving average to the downside. So at this point we have seen a little more than a retest, but rather a gap down, and so a recovery, and back up to retesting that 9-day moving average and that previous gap down high. So we do have a gap starting at 115, looks like 115.90, and that gap hopefully ending at 117.40. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, I just want to forget to message that person. Yeah, you can apply for live as long as you don't work with anybody, like any hedge fund or something. I'm none of those people, so I don't have to worry about it. All right, so I want to say this is a little bit of a megaphone pattern. So we're gonna watch Zillow to 117.50. So watch that one from the break of 116, hit that dollar move, fill that gap, 117.50, a little bit 50-cent extra after that. Above there, you're gonna have a resistance at more than likely 119. I got you, Omar. I'm going down the list. There's a lot of other people who asked. So anyway, 117.40. Let's see here. Yeah, excuse me, 117.50 is where I would look for continuation, and then past 120. So it could actually have a pretty big move in store. I kind of want to write that one down as well. There's a lot of good setups here. All right, so PUBM, what the Pubmatic? Yeah. Oh, no, you're good. Oh, you must have been watching a little bit behind. You're fine. Okay, so There we go. That's a little bit more accurate. All right, so it looks to me that buyers are not ready to step up to these levels quite yet. It kind of looks like an inverse cup and handle. So if I was to see what I mean, a little bit more drastic on that pullback there, or on that bounce back up. But so anyway, rejection, pretty harsh one at 38.15. If you take a look at the daily here, that ends up becoming a pretty bearish candle. It did bounce at that previous high, which is a good sign. But you did see the MACD roll over, the TTM kind of pull back as well. The RSI is just kind of sitting dead center. So honestly, with that, so you get a decent bounce here, but you rejected the 9 and rejected, which is your bullish moving average, and you fell back through the HMA, which is another bullish moving average you'd like to stay above. And you can see if you go back, the HMA providing a reasonable support and resistance multiple times here. So in my opinion, looking at this stock, and again, I don't know what they do, but it does appear that it's making a bear flag. So anywhere below that 34.85, I would be watching for, in fact, actually 34.50. So watch for a bounce at 34.50. If you don't get a bounce there, then more than likely you're going to venture back down to the 32.55 level. And then if you look at the daily, anywhere below 31.70, and you're probably going to revisit the $30 level pretty quickly. So. All right, so tell. This one actually has a pretty damn crazy setup. Okay, so here's the deal with Tell. All right, so a couple different things. So what you have here is you've had multiple rejections of this resistance. You can see here trying again, looking like it was building a flag and then pulling all the way back down to support. Really nice bounce, and now you're holding that 9-day moving average. So if you can break anywhere above 445, 450, right? So I would say 450 is likely a decent mark for what would likely be continuation or breakout for Tell. But that being said, you still have room for more continuation at the downside, or at least further consolidation. So if you end up closing below 415, but honestly, the break of $4, I would expect to pull back down to that bounce level at 380. You can also see the 200-day EMA backing that up. Now, if we break that 200-day EMA, then maybe you may see a retest of 350, and that's a break below 380. So. Okay, does that make sense? This does look like a bullish setup though, and if you actually, this is a really good that I looked at this. So normally, and it's never a bad thing, but normally your 200-day EMA is going to be a really strong moving average. This here on the weekly, as you can see, is where we're consolidated underneath now. Now, on the weekly, you also have made a dragonfly doji, which is usually bullish. That means that sellers took it down all the way to 385, and buyers brought it all the way back up to 435. So that only confirms that theory or that thought that I have on Tell. So, like I said, maybe another potential leg down, but showing that buyers, or how strong the buyers are at that 385 level, there is a good chance that you may go and see a little bit of continuation here. So above $5, Intel could see some strong movement to the upside. Of course, this is the weekly, so it directly correlates with the time frame that you may see this movement in. So it could be weeks, could be months for that movement to play out. But you are consolidated here, which is never a bad sign, flagging out right onto the 9-day moving average. So Starbucks, excuse me. Emoji. Ooh, sweet Jesus. All right. Now, it looks like it's gearing up for a move. It does. That's not right. Oh, Starbucks look good. Starbucks looks real good. Okay, that sounded kind of creepy. Sorry. 118.50. Okay, let's go down to the daily, at the 4 hour. Alright, so it looks like you might have got slapped here at 117.50. So, yeah, absolutely. I'll look at Costco. So that level, 117.75 and 117.50, those are going to be really big levels. You can push those and break them. I would bank on seeing consolidation from Starbucks. But as we saw on that trend line that we drew, Starbucks not only broke downtrend and even had almost what looked to be a bearish setup here, recovered support and ended up trending back up. So looking like it may go retest 727. Okay, so if earnings is coming up, it's hard to say whether or not you're going to break all-time highs. But I expect good things from earnings on Starbucks. And you can see here that they consolidated here for a while after that. I think a lot more people are getting out and about, work, everything like that. So, yeah, I mean, I honestly think that that Starbucks is primed to make a move up with the continuation in the market. So, but yeah, be wary of earnings as well. So, volume is declining. So that's one thing that is concerning as well. So, in all honesty, we could see consolidation in this pocket here going into earnings. If that ends up happening and Starbucks just continues to kind of trend back, because if it pulls back, or if it even just pulls back around here, then this may be where it stays until earnings occurs. So, and as you can see, earnings is here. So it would make a whole lot of sense if it did. And then hopefully we shoot up. Nice. Yeah, we'll watch it tomorrow. So, Costco. Any other requests? Go ahead and send those in. It's 10 o'clock. Bedtime. Okay, so Costco. Let me go look at something. Yeah, so I want you to take a look at this mess right here and the way that Costco moves after it moves. So we got a nice move here, right? Gets a little choppy, and then just a freak out. I mean, like, it just goes crazy. Earnings happens, and it makes new highs. Then you just continue to see like what the hell is even? I mean, you just get pulled back from basically 391 all the way back down to 360. So a lot of choppy movement here. But that being said, Starbucks has broken new highs. and especially after being in this zone for a long time. Costco is above $400. And so, in all honesty, anytime that a stock is in what's called like exploration mode, exploratory mode, and highs like this haven't been seen before, it's hard to say. To be honest with you, you just got to watch it every single day. So, looking at the hourly here, you're going to want to see continuation past 415, pretty easy. So, but I'm just being honest with you guys. Anytime a stock climbs into highs like this, my main indicator is volume and obviously sector correlation. So I want to see that sector in particular move to the upside. So, but on Starbucks, there's a couple different balance levels that we can pay attention to. So the first one would be 407, 407.70, and then the second one would be 406, which would obviously depend on whether or not we pull back, but that is right around support, so we could pull back into support before we actually end up seeing that new high on Costco. So, and of course, we'll see if this speculative trend line ends up holding true. So, okay. So watch for anywhere below this 410 level. Watch for a pullback to the 407, 406 level, depending on that market or how that's moving. So it's a bit overbought. The RSI is showing a little weakness, so is the TTM. So, all right, Costco, Starbucks, got it. All right, I think that's it. All right. I just saw that Old Glory fam. Yeah, that's weird. So kind of looks like we're making this little descending wedge type deal here. Now we're currently, hold on one second, because I could be dead wrong here. This is why it's important to make sure that you have your supports correct. Okay, so on Sophie here, and I will say that this looks more like a bear flag than it looks like anything else, but and this is on the 4 hour as well, but it seems like it's kind of bottomed out here a little bit. But normally when something bottoms, it bounces up and starts trending up from a bottom. This is still showing that shorts are still present and well in control of the movement right here, because you make two previous highs here before it getting completely shorted. So honestly, if you end up breaking anywhere below $16, Sophie is likely going to continue to the downside. You need to see a move back up into the 1750 range in order to see Sophie start to head back into what would likely be the 1850 range or the 50-day EMA. So. Thank you, Fredo. And tell your brother I will be with him soon. It's too much to explain, but I've been busy. Alrighty. So everybody feel good about that? Any other questions? Do you guys have any questions about anything? I know like tickers to be charted, but anything regarding tomorrow, setups, options, whatever the question may be. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down and call it a night. But thank you guys for tuning in. Those of you who left likes, I appreciate you guys as well. If you guys find this stream helpful and there's a platform that you feel you could share it on where it could be helpful for others, we are live every mostly every Sunday night, but also every morning around 8:45. So, yeah. What's my thought on Wednesday on Pal speaking? Anytime Pal opens his mouth, you should be either sitting on cash, or you should have if you're in anything long, you need to be protected. I honestly feel a little embarrassed that I don't know what he's talking about on Wednesday, so let me figure that out. Sorry, just reading. Yeah. So it's just saying that yeah, I see what time. I was trying to figure out what subject matter was, but all right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, I appreciate you guys as well.